Hello, I'm Jade the Willow, and we are going to be working on some wintry landscapes today because it's the middle of February and it's cold outside and I feel like building winter things. So we're going to transform this space here behind me into a very magical looking frozen waterfall. Alright, let's dive in. So this world was made using World Painter, and I want to transform this into 3 levels. These 2 are obviously going to be bigger than this last little one, but it'll be lots of fun. We need to fix this up. It sticks out. The rocks around waterfalls don't really do that. It would need to curve inwards. And we need to then put the water down and create a little space for our water to flow. So it'll be pretty. I've got lots of reference pictures, and we're just going to do a nice winter time lapse. Alright, I changed my mind. I don't want to do a time lapse of fixing up the rocks because that's boring. I want to start actually putting in the stuff that goes on the waterfalls. I developed a little technique a while ago, and I want to try it out in a much bigger format, and I'm super excited about it, and I'm sure you know what it is because it's probably going to be the thumbnail. But first, in order to put on the frozen waterfall, it would be nice to have a little bit of the frozen river. So that's what we're gonna do, just real quickly, but you don't need to watch that. All right, we have 1 layer of ice on our cliffside. And then the first step to making this next part is to bring out mostly the snow, because I think that looks nice. You'll see what I'm talking about in a moment. But to bring out the snow so that it hangs over, because we're going to create a sort of drippy ice effect. Because if you look at pictures of frozen waterfalls, they're very drippy, just like icicles. We're making a ton of icicles all in one big waterfall. Though I will say, last time I tried this out, it was on a even surface and this is a diagonal, but I think it'll still work, and possibly it might make it even more interesting without having to add certain layering, but we'll kind of see. We just want to build this up so it feels like the water behind it is kind of ready to go and spill over. But we definitely also need to make sure we're mixing in a little bit of ice, and we'll go and make all of this flat color different as well. All right, I think it's sufficiently over the edge. The thing is that the more we have to work with here, the more layers we can create. So I don't want it to come out too far because that'll look ridiculous, but I also need enough space to play. So then all we need to do is start layering. Now, I want to use ice for this because it makes sense for what's going on, and it'll help your brain make sense of it. And it's got some cool, especially the regular ice has some fun see-through properties. And I want to layer and stagger the different kinds of ice so that you have these patterns. It's pretty simple, but it adds a really cool effect. However, it's a little harder to see when it's not flat like it is here. Once we're happy with the arrangement of these, we can start adding in little glass panes. And I like to dangle these from the top all the way down, but also bring them out from the bottom of the thicker full glass block pieces, as if it kind of tapers off. And again, just scatter it around. Because of the diagonalness of this, you're gonna get a lot more of these and less of this, which looks a lot better when you're looking at it from the front. So we're gonna leave it as is for now. It's still thinner and changes up the block patterns that we have, so it'll be good. Look at that! Oh, I'm so excited. And then in the next one, I'll just try to make a few straighter sections of it. All right, now I think I kind of want to bring this up a little bit more in a couple places, just to feel like the snow is really spilling over as it's settled on the frozen ice. But not too crazy, and we still want to keep a few of those ice blocks in there. All right, what do we think? Oh, at the bottom, we probably won't put in too much of the stained glass pieces because it doesn't make as much sense going up as it does going down, but we can add in a few pieces just to create a little bit of variety, give your eye a little bit more to look at. And let's do a few of the white stained glass. Or down at the bottom. Now I want to add in some patterns on the ice and a few rocks in it. And I think in order to create a sort of ice-like thing, I'm thinking about how ice fractures. So I want to keep it kind of in blobs and sections, but I also don't want it to feel necessarily very round. I want it to feel like you can see where the ice would crack in big chunks if the temperature got warmer and the ice started to split. So something kind of like that, but a bunch more. We'll add a few more to the next ones, and this time I do think I'll time lapse it. And then we'll add in more details around the river and add in some trees, so it'll be a lot more interesting of an area to look at, and it'll be super pretty. Ta-da! What do we think? I'm so happy with it. It's so pretty and wintry and magical. And I think building up snow along the sides really helped. Otherwise, it's so flat. And even this, I'd like to fix it up some more, but I've got to come up with some ideas because I don't just want it to be rocks. I'm so excited with this. I love this technique. I think it works really well. I do think the snow along the side needs a little bit more work. One of the things that I added into that I want to go in and fix up here is the snow draping over a little bit. I'll add in those, but the next thing I want to do is paste in some pine trees. I've already created pine trees in the past, so I'm going to do that. The idea for this world originally was for it to be a fairyland and for everything to be giant-sized, and I'd still like to keep that. So I'm going to put in some giant pine trees that are maybe a little bit bigger than what you might normally put in, but also it's Minecraft, so things kind of tend to be all out of scale anyway. Even though we only have 3 trees, you can already tell and see how much of a difference it makes. Everything just feels a little bit more cozy, a little less empty. It kind of places the waterfall in the world a little bit better. I'm adding a few more snow layers around. You can see the difference it makes between this side and this side. This one's fine, but this one is so much better. It just blends everything together and helps it all feel settled into the landscape. So we're going to do the same for this side. I also can't remember if I showed you how I added in all of the layers up here, which worked really well, and I'm just really excited. And I want to add in a few more things around. The main point of this video is to show the landscape of the frozen waterfall, but still, adding other things around it is nice. Now I know that if this was actually a frozen waterfall, this part right here wouldn't be flowing because this would all absolutely be frozen, but I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with this water as I continue building in this area. So for this video, I thought I'd just finish it off like that because it looks interesting, and if you're building this, you can do it however you want. All right, I am so happy with this. It looks so great. I might add in a few more rocks around, and I'm thinking about adding in a few more bushes and then going in with the snow layers and kind of softening up these edges so that it looks, like I was just saying before, a little bit more tied in. Speaking of adding in a few more things to help the landscape be a little bit more interesting and blend together, what do we think about using some white concrete powder as kind of like dirty snow, maybe where some of the river sediment mixed together with it, just to kind of change up all the solid white that we have? Does that make it a little bit more interesting, do you think? I kind of like it, and we don't have to go crazy with it. And then the other thing I wanted to do up on the cliffs, I added in a little bit of andesite just for some variety, but I was wondering if I could kind of mix the rocks and the snow a little bit. And I know in real life, rocks and snow don't mix. The snow just sits on top of the rock. But when you're building in Minecraft, you kind of have to be a little creative and do things a little differently because it's a game of blocks with set patterns. But what do we think? Another option is to use this, which I think works fine with the snow, but I don't think it makes sense so much. It's a very marbly texture, and I think that looks better if I'm trying to kind of mix it a little bit. Well, maybe I'll add it in. It helps blend things together a little bit more in Minecraft, just because I think this white and the gray is so extreme when everything's not covered. Probably should add a few of these around. Just a little bit can go a long way. Boom, 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 boom. Sorry, you don't need me to narrate that. Okay. Alright, I think that looks pretty great. I've added a few more things. I put some darker blocks along the bottom of the stone cliff walls. I added in a little fox for coloring because they're so cute, and a few more trees to help make it a little cozier, and a few dead coral pieces. Just so there's a little bit something other than just the snow, and I think we're done. I hope that inspired you to make your own winter wonderland, and maybe you found some techniques that you can use. If you enjoyed this video, consider leaving it a like and subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!